I think in the past, when I was obviously younger, I was focusing more on the physical side of Ramzan always, instead of spiritual. It was always about, I need to make sure that I don't get thirsty. I need to save my energy for this. I need to eat a lot more in Sehri too, because that sort of thing. Gradually, what I've noticed is now it's all about, for me personally, I'm trying to raise my spiritual levels. And I think Ramzan really motivates me for that.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
As Ramadan draws to a close, it is time to reflect on the positive changes we've experienced within ourselves. So let's start by hearing what some of those are.
Rather than combining prayers, I tend to read them separately. When you read them separately, you pay more attention to it. I try to concentrate on the words and the meaning. So it takes a bit longer, but that's a lot more enjoyable as well.
The major change that I've felt is going to the masjid for that matter as well, pretty much every single day or every evening, at least one namaz during every day at the masjid. It's not only kept me calm, be it the stresses of work, it's literally blown over like wind.
I choose to take my lunch break when it's Zuhur time. So thankfully I can offer Zuhur prayers on time, which never happened before actually. And then I can recite a small portion of the Holy Quran as well with translation. So that way, yes, it's so much better spiritually in the month of Ramadan.
Especially driving to work. Whereas in the past, I'm listening to music or I'm listening to radio, LBC and this and that. Now I've started listening to recitation of the Holy Quran. So I try and listen to that on the way there and on the way back. And I think that's helping me out a lot because throughout the day it kind of motivates me depending on what topic the recitation was about.
Almost every Ramadan, whenever I'm trying to improve myself or I'm trying to clear my mind, I find that Ramadan is that perfect time when you can really self-reflect and you can take a step back. And just fasting frees up your time and frees up your mind and frees up your energy as well to be able to read more and also contemplate and just be fresher and cleaner spiritually and even physically, right? And even mentally. So almost every Ramadan there's just like a whole air of kind of spirituality. And so every Ramadan it really gives me the opportunity to refresh my faith and also catch up on my reading of not just the Holy Quran and the Promised books, but also of the Hadith and other books of the Jamaat.
Some amazing ways you are bettering yourselves this Ramadan. But the most important thing to take away is
Paratha.
Chapatis.
Paratha. 2 parathe. I've stopped the parathes.
No. Let's try again.
The most important thing is to then carry whatever you learn from this month onto the next month. Learn as much as you can and then instill it in your day-to-day life afterwards as well.
Exactly. We must all endeavour to make these changes last.
So the holy month of Ramadan leads to loads of different positive and good new habits that we build, or maybe habits that we had the previous year that we've built on this year. Now, I like to talk about Ramadan as a spiritual training camp. It's not something that we practice just for 30 days. This 30 days is supposed to be a camp where you understand your own limitations, you build on your own boundaries, you try to make yourself a better person. But that doesn't come to an end when we hit the last day of Ramadan. This is that spiritual training time where we've built on our good habits, we've done away with our bad habits. And so when we step foot outside of Ramadan, that's the real time that we go and show those skills that we've built in the last 30 days. So it's really, really important for us to remain consistent after Ramadan finishes. Along with that, of course, there are practical limitations in the sense that perhaps waking up at certain times of the night and the amount of worship that we're doing, perhaps some people may feel they're unable to keep up with that same amount, however it is, or whatever time of the day it is, after Ramadan. Now, of course, we must make a massive effort ourselves to try and keep up to that same level, even surpass it after Ramadan. But the key thing that we are told is that Allah the Almighty prefers small acts of goodness done consistently rather than big, huge acts of worship but done one-off. So what we should try to do is become consistent in our approach to earning the pleasure of Allah the Almighty. And Huzoor, of course, repeatedly tells us to try and endeavor to go towards Allah the Almighty in a day-to-day basis, in our intentions and in our actions and in our words, to try to come closer. And if we can maintain that sort, that mentality, then we'll see that each of our actions, even if it's just smiling or moving a branch out of the way on the road, all these things act as a means to bring us closer to Allah the Almighty. So try your best, be as consistent as you can, and pray to Allah the Almighty to help you and support you in your endeavor.
So we should all try to maintain these positive changes beyond Ramadan. One way to become consistently closer to Allah is to become closer to Khilafat. One Khadim asked Huzoor Aqdas how he strived for this.
My question is, growing up, what were some of the ways you were able to stay attached with Khilafat?
You see, I only knew that I have to obey whatever the Khalifa says. And I have to love him. And I prayed for it even. Whenever I would see that today, when I went to see my Khalifa, I feel some different attitude on his face for myself. Then I prayed to Allah Ta'ala that if I have done something wrong, Allah Ta'ala forgives me. And if he has any doubt in his mind, for me, Allah Ta'ala removes it. So that was the only way I prayed to Allah Ta'ala. Whenever I felt something, I always considered it as my fault, not that he has done something wrong. And I prayed to Allah Ta'ala, and Allah Ta'ala accepted my prayers. And always I saw that the next day or after some time, Allah Ta'ala created some occasions where I was given some extraordinary blessings from the Khalifa of that time. Right?
Ji.
So you should also pray.
Along with prayer, we should also endeavor to write to beloved Huzoor regularly to form a personal relationship with him, as emphasized in this answer to how Huzoor Aqdas feels when we do.
How does beloved Huzoor feel when he receives our letters?
You see, if I receive your letter once in a year, then even then I pray for you. I say, okay, Allah Ta'ala bless this person who has written me the letter. And some people who have been writing to me regularly, at least once a month, and I have some personal contact with those people as well. So obviously, this is a human nature. I am also a human being, so it's a human nature that has some different sentiments for that person. Anyway, no matter whether you are writing once in a year or every month, I pray for everybody who writes to me, for those even who do not write. But those whom I know very well, you see, then you have some personal contacts with them and personal sentiments and emotions for them. So, as you receive the letter of your friend or your brother or your loved one, the same way I feel.
So writing to Huzoor Aqdas is essential to building that bond with Khilafat, and when we do, we will see positive change in our lives. Now, after Ramadan finishes, there is another key opportunity for us to attain the blessings of Allah the Almighty.
Our lives are all about transaction. What can we benefit from something? If we do something, what do we get in return? And often this conversation comes about in the fast of Shawwal. Now, for those of you that don't know, these are the 6 days following the day of Eid, which are done in the month of Shawwal. These are rosé, these are fasts which were performed by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, in the hadith we are told that he who fasts the dates of Ramadan and then also fasts the 6 days of Shawwal, it's as if they have fasted the entire year. Now, these are two things here to be looked at. One, of course, if Allah Ta'ala is saying that this is the sawab, this is the blessings and the benefit that you'll get, of course that is true and we'll receive those blessings. On the other hand, there is a philosophy and a wisdom behind it, that after fasting for an entire month, you are then given that moment of jubilation, celebration, the day of Eid. But then your mentality is such that once that jubilation has finished, you then return to that same state of fasting, knowing that it's not compulsory to do so, but you do so to earn the blessings of Allah the Almighty. And in doing so, what you're actually showing is that the lessons that you learnt in the month of Ramadan, even when they're no longer compulsory upon you, you're still willing to do them for the sake of Allah the Almighty. And that is something which can then be extended across the whole year. So it's a very, very important thing to remember. So of course, they're not compulsory, but when you have that much of a return on that small of an investment, then why would you not take advantage?
Why indeed? We hope you've enjoyed and benefited from this series. And don't forget to like and share this video. As always, we've included useful links in the description below. And we leave you with one last look at what you have for Sehri.
Paratha, anda or dahi. I had paratha, anda and chai, and I made it myself.
Different every day. It's good to keep it and switch it up, but you might just switch it on from cereal to maybe your traditional chapatis and your salads and stuff. So it really does depend on the day and how you're feeling.
Wherever I can, I'll try to sort of keep it something simple, maybe toast and a cup of tea more than anything.
I have paratha with yogurt and 1 cup of tea, that's it.
Paratha with egg and keema with some milk.
I try to eat as healthy as I can. So normally it's porridge and a smoothie or some juice. So hydration is key, but also for me, fiber is also important.